Tiffany Arielle here, and we are back with another video. So today we are going to be talking about how I booked business class travel with points. Disclaimer, it is not 100% free, but it is significantly cheaper and significantly more affordable if you take advantage of credit card points. So for those of you who are not aware, if you have not already seen my last video, I took a trip a few months back with my mom to celebrate her birthday. We went to Switzerland and we stopped in London and then back to the US. And I booked business class flights for both myself and my mom going to Switzerland. I booked business class for her coming back from London and premium economy for myself coming back from London. So in this video, I'm going to talk about the general process that I follow to A, get the points, and B, how I redeemed them, how I actually booked the flights, how I found the flights, all of that good stuff. I will be looking down at my iPad periodically just because I have some notes and I want to make sure that I don't forget anything. So first and foremost, you have to prepare. Like, where are you trying to go? Is there a specific location that you want to go? Is there just a specific continent that you want to visit? Do you not even care where you go? You just want to experience business class? Like, that is something that you want to kind of ask for yourself. Also, even if there is a specific location, like, ask yourself, can you create any type of flexibility in those travel plans? Like, for example, in our case, I live in the Bay Area, so I fly out of San Francisco Airport. My mom lives in Houston. One of the things we had to ask ourselves was, are we willing to meet up in a third city to, travel from there? Or, in our case, it made sense because we were coming from different places, and that did create some additional flexibility in terms of traveling. But for other people, it may not be that you are meeting up in a third city with someone else, but maybe you may make a conscious effort to fly from the West Coast to Chicago or to New York or DC or to somewhere else that may have more availability to the destination that you have in mind. Or it could be that, you're like, oh, I want to go to, Greece. And maybe you're not finding a lot of flights to Greece, but you're finding more flights to Italy, and then maybe it's easy to get from Italy to Greece. And so those are like different things that you can do to kind of create some more flexibility in your plans. The second thing is, when do you want to go, right? Do you have a specific time frame? Do you have a specific month? Do you really have to be there on a specific date? Those kinds of things make a big difference. If you can, again, the more flexibility you have, the better, the easier it's going to be to find availability. 3, is there a specific airline experience that you want to have? So for example, one of my kind of bucket list experiences is I want to fly on Emirates, either business class or first class. So that is something that I'm thinking about for the future. If you have a specific airline, that will kind of change the way that you go about things a little bit, because you don't have to go searching in the general tools. You can kind of do a lot more searching for that airline specifically. But if you're just kind of open and you're like, I just want to get from point A to point B, then, have that in mind as well. And the last thing is, you need to know, where are you now? Do you currently have any credit cards that, you have points that you can use for airlines? What cards do you have? How many points do you have? Do you have any points that are directly with airlines? What is your current situation? And once you kind of have an idea of your current situation, that's going to bring us to the next phase, which is research. So in this phase, you're going to want to first just kind of get a general idea of what the award flights are looking like for your desired destinations and timeframes. So if you're flying a specific airline, you might create an account on that website. This is something that I've done. I went on Emirates website and I just searched okay, if I go from this destination to that destination and I wanted to book with points, how many points would it cost me? So that's something that I kind of have in my mind of how many points do I need to have. If you're not flying a specific airline, I would definitely recommend using some sort of point searching tool. I personally used seats.aero. There's another one called point.me, which a lot of people use. There's probably others, but those are kind of the two that I hear a lot about. I will be mostly talking about seats.aero because that is what I used for this trip. So when you go on there, I did book the premium subscription because there's a lot more features that you can do. You can search from city to city. You can type in multiple cities, and it will basically show you availability. With the premium, it'll show you up to a year in advance. Even with the free version, it's a bit more limited. I will show some screenshots just so you can get an idea of what that looks like. But pretty much you can't search from a specific city to a specific city with the free version, but you can search from continent to continent, which again is helpful if you have flexibility in your travel plans. You can also look at a specific airline and just kind of see like what their flights are looking like from continent to continent. You can type in a specific airport. So you can filter on the continent search. So if I type in North America to Europe, and then I filter SFO, then it will show me all the flights that are departing from SFO or maybe arriving to SFO. So that's what it will show me. Also, you can kind of see on the same website like which credit cards map to which airlines. So not all credit cards can transfer points to all airlines. So you have to be aware based on the cards that you have and any new cards that you might apply for, like which airlines can you actually use those points for. There are other ways to get around this. So if a specific airline is not a transfer partner for a specific credit card, sometimes what you can do is you can transfer to one of that airline's partners. So in the case of like United, you could transfer to Air Canada, for example, even if you can't transfer to United directly. Just as an example, I think you probably can transfer to United directly, but anyway, you could transfer to Air Canada. That's what I ended up doing. We'll talk about that later. The second step of researching is understanding like what cards are out there. The main kind of companies that people kind of go for are Chase, Capital One, and American Express. Those are like the big three when it comes to credit card points. So, you can look up those. You can see, are there any cards you already have? Are there cards you don't have? There are some tricks you can use to kind of like get another sign-up bonus, even if you already have one of the cards. Like sometimes you can downgrade one to a different card and then you can apply for it again. There's a lot of different tricks you can use. I'm not here to really go into the depths of that. I will tell you what specifically I did later on in this video, but do some research and kind of just see what's out there. How many points can you earn? What are the spending requirements? What is the time frame that you have to meet the spending requirement? And make sure that those are things that you can actually do, because it's really difficult to get enough points to be flying business class with just your regular spending. You really are going to get a lot more bang for your buck if you're able to get a sign-up bonus, because those are usually like 60,000, 70,000, 75,000 miles that you can get from like spending a certain amount in a specific time frame. Okay, so now that you've done the research, you have a plan, you know which credit cards you want to apply for, you kind of know generally like where you're trying to go, when you're trying to go. Now it's time to actually get those cards. So come up with a plan. Make sure you're doing this in the right order. So for example, some banks like Chase, they do have a rule. There's like a 524 rule where if you've applied for more than like 5 cards within 24 months, they like won't approve you. Like it does not matter how good your credit is. They're going to be like, no, you have too many credit cards. So there are things like that you should be aware of. So I would say if you have specific cards that you're looking at, I would definitely recommend looking on websites like the Points Guy, or there's like other websites. I'll link some of them down below that I have found helpful in the past, and they'll kind of talk about different strategies that you can use to, apply for cards in a smart manner. You'll also want to be mindful of any annual fees. Most of the time, the cards that have the good sign-up bonuses are also going to come with annual fees. Now, paying the annual fee for 1 year is absolutely worth it if you're getting 75,000 miles. Even if the fee is like $500, like it's worth it. So I wouldn't be super concerned about the annual fee like from the beginning, but if you don't want to keep paying that annual fee forever, you'll definitely want to have a plan to either close or downgrade that card once that year that you've paid for is up. And you'll kind of want to be mindful of like how easy it is to do that, what impact that's going to have on your credit. Also, you have to make sure that you use all of your points before you close the card. So just be mindful of the timing. Don't be like, oh, I want to go on a trip in 5 years. Let me start getting points now. And then you're signing up for some $500 annual fee card. And it's like, what are you going to do with those points for the next 5 years, right? Like that's not really going to work very well. So just be mindful of that. Okay, so now let's talk about my specific situation. So what cards I had that were related to travel already was I had the Chase Sapphire Preferred, I had the Built card, and I had some American Airlines miles and some United miles. I do have the United card as well, which is how I got so many United miles. But yeah, so that's pretty much what I had. And I said, okay, I don't have enough points. I'm going to need to apply for 2 new credit cards in order to have enough points for what I was trying to do. So the cards that I applied for were the Amex Gold and the Capital One Venture. I got the Amex first and then the Capital One. I think it was like 75,000 points for each of those. So that's like 150 plus what I already had. And then that was enough for me to do what I needed to do. I booked the flights. I was able to use some for hotels as well. And then I just kind of liquidated the rest. One thing I will note is, like, although I did not apply for a new Chase card as part of planning for this trip, I actually have gotten another Chase sign-up bonus since then, because I had the Sapphire Preferred for a very long time. I had it for like 5 years. Recently, I decided I wanted to upgrade to the Reserve. And I was like, you know what, if I'm upgrading cards, like, I kind of want another sign-up bonus. And I realized that you can do that. So what I did was I downgraded my Sapphire Preferred to the Freedom Unlimited, I believe. So I still have my Sapphire Preferred points that are in the Freedom Unlimited. Then I submitted a new application for the Sapphire Reserve. I got the sign-up bonus for that. I have not gotten around to like combining my points, but what you can do with Chase is you can combine your points from the Freedom Unlimited with your Sapphire card. And so then all of your points are like Sapphire points. So that's what I plan to do eventually. I just haven't gotten around to doing that. I still keep the Freedom Unlimited. I still have it open. I still use it on a regular basis. So just to keep it open. So yeah, that is something that I did separately. So you can do that if you already have a Chase card and you're like, oh, I want another Sapphire card, but you cannot get another annual fee if you got the annual fee within, I believe it's 48 months. So 4 years. Okay, so finally, what did I actually book? Okay, so there was a lot of traveling going on in this trip. So I, again, live in the Bay Area. I had to fly down to LA. I went to a concert. I just paid for that with money. But in terms of points, I flew from LA to Newark. I booked that on points. It was about 15,000 points plus, the taxes, which was like $5, $6, something like that. Oh, it was 15,000 miles and $5.60. That's how much it was to get from LA to Newark. My mom also had to fly from Houston to Newark, but we just paid for that with money. We did not use points for that flight. So then from New York to Geneva, Switzerland, I booked on Swiss Air because, we're going to Switzerland. Why not fly on the Swiss airline? I booked that via Air Canada because I could not transfer points to Swiss directly. So yeah, I booked on Air Canada. The flights ended up being 60,000 miles per person plus $76.60 Canadian dollars. I don't remember how much that was in US. I would have to check. Sorry, I'm not going to go back digging through my credit card statements. So that was per person, not in total. So not, too bad. Again, we have to pay the taxes and fees, but it's $75. It's much, much cheaper than if you were to book that flight with like money. So from Geneva to Zurich, we just took the train. We paid for that with money. From Zurich to London, we took a flight, but again, we paid for that with money. So I'm not really going to go over that. From London coming back, my mom, she flew on British Airways. I booked that via American, which, like I said, I already had some American Airlines points. I was able to use some of my Bilt points to supplement that because at that time, American was a partner of Bilt. I don't think that is the case anymore. So I don't think that would be an option moving forward. You could probably finagle a way to book an American Airlines or British Airways flight with one of these credit cards. I'm not really sure because the specific path that I used is no longer an option because Bilt doesn't transfer to American anymore, unfortunately. But yeah, so that was about 57,000 miles and that was $693.70, which is quite expensive. Flights to and from the UK are very expensive in terms of taxes and fees, so be mindful of that. I think that Dubai is similar in the sense of just like very high taxes and fees. So even though you're using points, like you still need to be prepared to pay sometimes quite a lot in taxes and fees. So again, this is why the research phase is so important so that you can get an idea of what to expect and you can make an informed decision as to whether this is worth your points or not. Coming back from London, for me, I decided not to book business class for myself. When I was looking at the options, I felt like most of the options were like a ridiculous number of points and I just didn't feel like it was worth it, especially because I was going to be flying in the daytime. I wasn't going to be asleep, so I didn't really care about a lie flat seat. So I decided to book premium economy for myself coming from London to San Francisco. That flight ended up being 27,500 miles and that cost me $394 or 394 Great British pounds and 67 cents. I don't know what they call cents. So that was probably maybe like $450, $500 like US, which is again quite a lot of taxes and fees because it's the UK and that's just what they do. But yeah, I would definitely recommend flying premium economy on Virgin specifically. It was definitely a good experience. I think that's a great way to kind of like elevate your travel experience, have a bit more leg room, have a bit more, room in your seat, have a bit more of an upgraded service on the plane without going like all out for business class. So if you are struggling to find enough points for business, or you're just like, I just don't really feel like this is worth it, if you're like, I would rather take more trips that are less fancy than fewer, like more fancy trips, premium economy can definitely be a great way. I do think this depends on the airline. I felt like Virgin premium economy was quite nice. I had a good experience. I would definitely recommend it. I have only flown domestic first class once, but Virgin premium economy was kind of comparable to a domestic first class in my experience, just in terms of like the way the seat was and, the service and things of that nature. So that is pretty much it for this video. If you have any questions, don't be afraid to leave them down below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with all your friends. And I'll see you next time. Bye.